News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager. Stocks are wavering. Crude oil is staying elevated with prospects for peace in the Middle East dimming. President Trump reportedly told Fox News he's in no hurry to reach a deal with Iran, and he threatened to bomb Oman if that country gets in the way of the U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall has more from Washington.
This comes on the heels of this weekend when we heard confirmation from Iran and Oman that they have established what's being called shipping maps that would help to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The context to that being that Iran had been growing increasingly frustrated with ships using the U.S. coordinated route that would hug the coast of Oman and get them further away from the coast of Iran.
Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall in the nation's capital. The latest threat comes after a tense weekend in the Middle East. Israel killed 11 people in strikes against Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon on Saturday. There have also been recent attacks on Hamas in Gaza. Yemen-based Houthis have targeted ships in the Red Sea, and vessels have been hit by projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met today with President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner days after he rejected a 15-point U.S.-backed roadmap for Hamas to disarm and for Israel to pull out of Gaza. Bloomberg Israel Bureau Chief Ethan Brunner says Netanyahu's taking a more aggressive stand ahead of elections in October.
Abroad, I think many people have their complaints about Netanyahu and would like him to lose the election, and they think that if he did, that Israel would become a slightly more dovish place. And I don't think that that's true. He may or may not win, but at the moment, everyone is campaigning in a fairly hawkish stand.
Bloomberg's Ethan Bronner in Tel Aviv. President Trump says he's ordered the Pentagon to scale back joint military exercises with South Korea. In a social media post, he called the drills costly and cited his, quote, very good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Bloomberg Chief Asia correspondent Rosalind Matheson has more.
It's curious what he means there, because there's really not been much notable interaction between the US and North Korea under this Trump administration. No sense of great talks going on or developments compared to the first administration when they met in person several times, and then things kind of collapsed.
Bloomberg's Roz Matheson reports the president also criticized South Korea for not taking part in the war with Iran. South Korea's president's office says it is in close consultations with the U.S. on practical and military contributions in the Middle East. Checking crude oil prices right now, Brent is up 0.2%, trading at $88.68 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate is little change to the downside now at $82.37. And the S&P 500 is down 0.1%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is 0.3% lower, and the Nasdaq Composite is holding on to 0.1% gain. The Supreme Court has rejected President Trump for a second time in his bid to overturn a jury finding that he sexually abused and defamed author E. Jean Carroll. That leaves a $5 million award intact for the author after the justices refused to hear the president's appeal in late June. The High Court still has to decide whether to hear his appeal of an $83.3 million defamation verdict from comments he made about Carroll while he was in office. That announcement could come this fall. A court in Russia has sentenced an opposition politician to 11 years and 1 month in a penal colony for speaking against Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Lev Schlossberg of the liberal Yabloko party was convicted under Russian laws against spreading false information and discrediting the military. Another top member of that party recently received 7 years in prison for lamenting civilian deaths in Ukraine. Getting back to the market now, tech stocks are seeing a bit of life with the latest news on the AI build-out. Nvidia has agreed to spend up to $105 billion on a massive new data center campus in Ohio for OpenAI. The ChatGPT maker says it'll lease up to 8 gigawatts of compute capacity, with the first 800 megawatts coming online by 2028. Checking Nvidia shares, they're higher by nearly 1%. OpenAI rival Anthropic is telling potential investors its revenue jumped at least 14-fold in the second quarter compared to last year. Documents seen by Bloomberg show the Claude chatbot makers also reporting $47 billion in annualized revenue compared to $40 billion for OpenAI. Bloomberg's Rachel Metz has more.
They're calculating them in different ways, so it's certainly not an apples-to-apples comparison. it looks like each company is showing investors and potential investors better information than it could have just a month or two ago. And so that could be a really positive sign for an IPO.
And Bloomberg's Rachel Metz reports the Anthropic IPO could come as soon as this fall. Actress Hayden Panettiere has died. The former child actress had breakout roles as the cheerleader with superpowers in the NBC series Heroes and in ABC's Nashville. Police say Panettiere was found unresponsive yesterday at an apartment in Greenville, South Carolina, and there were no signs of foul play. Panettiere had been open about her struggles with alcohol and depression. She was 36 years old. That's news when you want it. With Bloomberg News Now, I'm Nathan Hager. This is Bloomberg.